I don't have no shoes on.
It's recording. Just
Yeah.
All right, so guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute everyone, and then maybe Loretta, if you unmute yourself. But here, before we get going, just some rules, because I know we get excited, especially when we have an awesome guest, is that, you know, when someone's speaking, whether it be our guest or one of our teammates asking a question, that we're going to stay quiet and let the speaker be heard, because we want to hear their voices.
Good.
So, just remember those rules. And so what we're going to do, I've got a little, I'm going to do a little sharing here first. Let's see if you guys can see my screen. Let's see. All right. All right. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Confirm.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Hi, Coach Chris.
Hi. How's it going, Kelly?
Good. I'm here.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here. All right. So today we've got a very special guest on our Zoom. Our agenda today, you know, we're going to hear from Loretta Claiborne, you know, awesome stuff from her. She's going to give us some words about resiliency, and then we're going to have some questions for Loretta. I know some guys have prepared. And then when we're done with having our awesome guest, we're going to talk about our party coming up. Maybe Loretta could give us suggestions on a big party theme, because we're going to have a big party at the end of May before our summer games. And then we're going to look to see how all the practices and trainings are going. And then we'll talk a little bit about summer games. So before we do that, I wanted to share, I don't like seeing pictures of me, but this is my office at school. And so at school, I have one poster up.
I never saw that poster before.
Yeah, and so Loretta, when we're starting a unified champion school at our school, and they gave an opportunity to get posters or request posters, and yours was one of them. I have tried to put other posters up in my room, but all of them fall except yours. So I don't know what that says about you. But I thought, wow, maybe that's resiliency, and maybe that's a way to kind of lead into what you have to say, because your poster is certainly resilient. So,
Oh, thank you.
well,
Maybe she's a special. Sorry.
Well, that's okay, Jimmy. So
I was gonna say maybe she's a special case on a poster.
Yeah, there's something special about her poster for sure. Building up to this, Loretta, I've shared videos with everybody about you. And you know, the thing that I've kind of tried to stress most about you, you're so accomplished, is the inspiration you bring. And so I don't want to talk too much more. We will spend a lot of time asking you questions to learn more, but I'm going to turn things over to you, and just a reminder to everyone, let's hear what Loretta has to say. And so without further ado, Loretta Claiborne, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I got to see some of the videos of what you do and some of your soccer practices. You look like you have a lot of fun. You're definitely the special case, because you'll have a lot of laughter. I could tell by this call tonight. We talk about resilience, but the other night I had a group, I guess it was almost 500 people in the room, and they asked me to speak on resiliency. And to me, if you would ask me what resilient means, I would say when you get knocked down, you get back up and you keep on working at what you're working at. Some people might have another definition. But I'll start a little bit about my life. I don't know if any of you had saw the Loretta Claiborne story. It was put out many years ago, but it was a story about my younger life. And I was born with an intellectual disability. I was born blind, and my mom put me in school. And of course, well, you all probably know, I'm hoping that you didn't have the experience in school that I had. Got picked on, teased. I was held back the first 3 years in school, and it wasn't fun. Back then, I would come home, father would cry, my mom would say, just pick your head up. You know what? You're going to go back to school. You just got to deal with it. That was it. There was no unified schools. There was no programs like they have today. You probably have a better outlook on what school was like for you than I did. So as time went by, I had dreams just like anybody else. I wanted to be a nurse at first. I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I wanted to be an athlete. But I knew that I wasn't going to be either one of those three things. Because my reading wasn't that good, I knew I wasn't going to be that nurse. I knew I wasn't going to be that veterinarian. And basically, they have a common bond because you're working with people and helping them get well. And the veterinarian on the same side works with animals and help them get well. And you have to have a lot of schooling. But I wanted to be an athlete, and I didn't think that was going to happen. So at the age of 12, I started running. And everybody says, oh, I don't know why you're doing that. You look crazy running. And I would just hold my head up and just kept on running. I got told I was crazy. My mom even said to me, I don't want you running. You're going to be built like a guy. Well, I'm a 4th degree black belt too, in this karate. And I was told right when I took my first couple classes of karate, I wasn't going to last. The teacher said, out of 100 students, only one would make it to black belt. And who would ever thought that that one would be me? The same way with running. Who would ever thought that I would keep on running? People would tell me what I couldn't do and putting me down. But I would just keep on going, keep on working at it. And that's resilience. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been resilient, what you have done, especially during this time with the pandemic. And as time went by, my mom's dream was for me to graduate from high school and get a high school diploma that said Loretta Claiborne has completed her studies at William Penn Senior High School. It happened. So as I got into Special Olympics in 1970, I was going to school a week and going to a work program at a local workshop. I don't know if you have workshops in your state or some of you work at workshops, but I went to a workshop, school to work, and the counselor noticed me there. And I see you running all the time. And I said, and I always run with my brother. And that was the end of it. That day I had a bad day. I got in some trouble. The end of that night, he called me into his office after he offered me a free sandwich. I should have known better. I shouldn't have took the free sandwich because my mom says you don't get them for free. And that evening he called me in, he handed me a paper. I didn't even know what it said. The only thing I could read was the word Olympics. So I took the paper home. My mom says, oh, I can't afford this. The lady she was playing cards with says, look, it's free, Rita. You should let Loretta do this. Maybe this will help her. At the time I was taking a lot of medication, and this lady says, it's better than all that medicine she's taking. Well, I did my first practice. I came home, it was on a Saturday morning. I had to walk. It was storming. It was January. I didn't want to go. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to sit under this step and just wait and walk home and act like I wanted to practice. But I knew my mother. I knew how she was. She had a beeline. If she didn't have a phone, she had other numbers that the workshop could call her from. So I got home. And she says, how was your Special Olympics practice? I said, it was okay. I quit. She said, what did you say? I said, I quit. So let me tell you something. You quit today, you'll always be quitting. Remember I told you, sister, about that dance last week? I said, yeah, I remember. 52 years later, I'm still there. I took a lot of flack. I wanted to quit so many times, but guess what? I got back up and I kept on working at it. They said I would never be able to run a marathon. I ran 26 marathons. No special training, no special shoes, no chips in my shoe to tell me that I'm 8 minutes behind the starting line, that I would get accounted for those 8 minutes. I just kept working at it. When I got my 4th degree black belt, I worked double time. I worked double hard. And my mom didn't want me to take karate, but I still took it. So that's resilience. And I know each and every one of you, if you play a sport, you got to be resilient. A resilient person is one who goes out there and play their hardest in the soccer game, and even though you lost, you come back. A weak person will play a soccer game, and even though they lost, they say, I'll quit. So we're all built with some kind of resilience. It really hit me in the last 2 years when COVID came. I was in Florida with some friends. I saw a little thing on TV, a little blurb, and says that there's this disease in China. Next thing I know, I get home and there's something on TV about Washington State and all these people were getting sick. I went to the gym and I knew something was weird. And I said, where's everybody? And the man saw me, he says, are you still here? I said, yeah, I was working. I said, get out of the building. We're closing this down. COVID. Well, I got depressed, like many of you. Stayed home. I was the first person in my town to start wearing a mask because I was running with this mask on my face. And people said, what are you doing? What's that for? I said, there's some sickness here. And they're saying people are dying from it. Well, I got bombed when they quit our Special Olympics. Nothing. We were supposed to go to state games. I had my skates sitting out. I had my outfit sitting out, ready to go to indoor winter games for figure skating. None. Somebody said to me, I know that's depressing to you. I know you're isolated. I said, let me tell you something. I lived with isolation all my life. And many people like us with ID live with isolation most of their lives. But yet we still are resilient. We're still going to come back. We're still going to get up. We're still going to play sport. And I'm sure a lot of you who are on this call, are you going to the national games? Is anyone going to national games on this call?
We have one of our coaches, I think Coach Debbie is going to national games to coach track. And then another one of our athletes, Yoli, is going to USA Games. I don't think Yoli's on the call, but they're heading that way.
Right. And so for those athletes to go to national games, it has to be very, very hard for them because it's 2 years of no training. So I'm pretty sure a lot of those athletes who prepared had to do it on their own, had to be resilient, had to be, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this, I want to be my best at national games, and boom, there's no gym to go to, there's no workout. But what I did as a person, I'm not going to national games, but I said, I want to stay in shape. Even though I can't go to the gym, I want to stay in shape. So I had these little weights in my living room. Somebody found them on the beach and gave them to me. And I had bands that I had gotten for a gift for Christmas. And that's what I did. And when we started to come back to practice just last week for basketball, a lot of my friends had nothing. They had nothing. They just stayed home. They didn't think about exercising in their houses and doing jumping jacks or walking around the block. Just because COVID was here didn't say I couldn't go running. That's resilient. And my goal was to stay my same weight and not get the COVID-19 pounds that a lot of my friends have got. So I know that's my story about being resilient. But also I have to be resilient when I serve on the board of directors for Special Olympics or do any of the jobs I do to make our movement better. I am the Chief Inspirational Officer. It takes a lot of work. Sometimes I get kind of down, but I pick myself back up and I keep on going. I said, I'm going to stick to my guns about what I have to bring this issue to the board, or I'm going to stick to my guns about what I have to say. And they said, oh, well, we don't want the athletes to do this, or we don't want the athletes to do that, like in our local program or in our state program. And I said, why don't you want the athletes to have a chance to use their voice? I said, because the athletes are Special Olympics, as well as the coaches, as well as the mentors, or those who work with the athletes. It goes both ways. So that's my story about being resilient.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, you set such an example, the idea of, picking yourself up when you're down, and we all have needed to have that attitude at times during the pandemic and at other times. So we really appreciate your words, Loretta.
Well, thank you.
Well, I would like to, I know we have some athletes that want to ask you questions. And so what I'm going to do is kind of introduce you to each of them a little bit. I'm going to try and share my screen again where you can see pictures of them, and then I'll also try and pin them so you can see them as well. Let's see, Brendan, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, Coach Brendan, let me see. So here's Brendan. Loretta, can you see the images of him? All right, cool.
Yes.
So I'm going to introduce him a little bit, and then I know he's got a question for you. You know, you see Brendan, he actually participates in Atlanta United's MLS Unified program. And so he was a player until he recently retired, but now he's a coach.
Awesome.
With soccer. And then that middle picture is actually from Seattle. Brendan was on a USA Games team, unified soccer team that won the bronze medal in Seattle. And then the far right picture is when he first started with us, which was probably about, I don't know, 20 years ago. So he's been at Special Olympics a long time. He's a superstar. And Brendan, I know you've got a question for Loretta, so go ahead, buddy.
I learned that you went to the international games. What was your most memorable moment in the international games?
I have many memorable moments, but one of my most memorable moments was when I went to Ireland to run in the 3,000. That was the last one World Games I was at. So that was a long time ago, 2003. But I went there and I went to run, and a lot of my friends had their families there. And they had friends, and I had no family there. But when I ran, the people who cheered me on, the mayor came out, Mrs. Shriver came out, the people from the Middle East, when I would run by them, I could hear them cheering, just to see all the people to be there to support me, because I was pretty well down, because they told me, oh, you're only going to do one event. And I won against the grain, and I stood my foot, and I said, you know what? You're saying that I'm going to only run one event, and I've trained for two, and all my form said I'm supposed to do 2 events. Well, if you're having an issue with medals, why do gymnastics athletes have 7 medals? Why are you going to take a medal from a track athlete that only has 2 opportunities? And I stood my ground, and people really praised me for doing that. And people came out to see me run, and they were just cheering me on. And I was kind of down because I did not have family, being the first time competing in a world stage in a foreign country. So I'll never forget.
Very exciting. Thank you, Loretta.
Welcome.
That was
inspiring
awesome
story.
question.
I enjoy hearing inspirational stories from famous athletes.
I have a question.
Well, let's see. I've got Kelly, you're going to have your question turn. I've kind of lined up our slides, but I have you lined up for sure, Kelly. So if you can wait, I think Reese is next. And let me go ahead. I'm going to try and share so we can see Reese and introduce Reese to Loretta. Reese, are you there, buddy? All right. So next up we have Reese. Can you guys see Reese okay? His image.
Okay.
So
Right.
this is, I think our pictures here of Reese are from Winter Games a few years ago. This was like the last Winter Games that we were able to compete, and this with some of his basketball buddies. And then in the middle, he's with some friends, special case friends at the Falcons game. And then opening ceremonies that same year, that was, I guess, the beginning of 2020, right before COVID hit. So that's when Reese started with us as a basketball star. I think he's got some of his medals on. So Reese, I am going to see if I can pin you so we can get you up here with Loretta, and you could go ahead and ask your question. You ready, Reese?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Reese, read. Okay, Reese, come on.
He's got his Superman goggles on.
He's quite the
I
entertainer.
am in the 10th grade. I struggle with academics in school. How were you in school?
Reese, I did the same thing. I struggled with academics in school. It was tough, but you know what? I made it be my best, and I just focused on what I could do, and I didn't worry about what somebody else could do. And I got called many a names, but you know what I did? I went like this. I said, huh, whatever, and kept going until I got my diploma. I'm
Grace's
pretty sure
mom,
there's something you're probably very better at than academics.
I just want to tell you how you are an inspiration, because I worry about my child because he does have some learning disabilities. And to see you and read about you and watch your movie, I know there's hope out there. I know he will succeed. And I thank you for sharing your story.
Well, thank you.
Really mean the world to us. Thank you.
And just remember, Reese, there's a lot to life than academics, a lot more to life than academics.
Yes.
Yes. So
Everybody go watch the movie.
yeah, we have to watch the movie of Loretta's life. Although I think it might be time for another movie, because that was over 20 years ago now, that movie,
Yes.
I think. Well, Kelly, are you still there? I think Kelly's at work. And so I just realized that. I don't want to make sure we can fit Kelly in before she has to go back to work. So Kelly, are you ready?
Pray for her.
Yeah. Let me,
Yeah.
Kelly, let me see if I can pull your picture up real quick and just tell a little bit about you, and then hopefully we'll get you back to work. So can you guys see the pictures of Kelly?
Yes.
All right, great. So yeah, Kelly, this is actually the far left picture. She's biting that medal. That's from Seattle for USA Games. She was on the same team as Brendan for soccer.
Cool.
And with her teammate there. And then I think the middle picture is from when she did the Peachtree Road Race. That's like one of the big road races here in Atlanta.
The 10K.
That's right, exactly. Have you ever run that, Loretta?
I almost had a chance to.
Oh man, we'll have to get you down for that for sure. That'd be pretty cool.
I don't race anymore. I have arthritis in my knees, so I just go out and I run every day. I ran today, and I just do it for the benefit of staying in shape.
I
I
understand.
did a course of 100 sit-ups, and I do men's push-ups. So I do a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, just to stay in shape.
Yeah, that's important. And then that last picture of Kelly's, we had a basketball exhibition at University of Georgia. And so she does, like a lot of our athletes, she does a lot of different sports. And I know that she is a big fan of yours and wanted to ask a question. So Kelly, go ahead, ask a question, Loretta.
So my question is, what is your next project?
What is my next project? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just take things one day at a time. Right now, I'm making preemie hats for hospitals. And I make the knockers for women who have cancer and they lose a breast, and they put that insert inside the bra until they get the reconstructive surgery. So I'm always finding projects. And I think one of my projects is going to be to take plastic bags and make matting for people who are homeless.
Oh, wow.
So I do a lot of volunteer projects.
Excellent.
Now, Kelly, are you at work right now?
Huh?
Are you at work right now, Kelly?
Yes.
Tell us, why don't you tell Loretta a little bit about your job and what you do?
So I work at Kroger. I work by Kroger. I mean, I'm working Kroger, and I'm a bagger.
Awesome.
And I work two jobs.
Is it courtesy
Actually,
call?
I work at a daycare too.
And
That's cool. That's what I like to hear.
she's-
Yeah.
Our
So
people
Kelly's a
having
courtesy
real
clerk?
jobs.
Mhm.
and
No,
Kelly
me
found
too.
different
Yes, we have so much in common.
Do jobs.
By the
Go,
way, I
girl.
Oh yeah.
well, and I should also add, Loretta, that Kelly also plays for Atlanta United's MLS Unified team.
Yes.
And so I think she was just recently named had her signing ceremony this past weekend. So we're real proud of her accomplishing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kelly, I'm glad
My
you could
video
join us.
really inspired her. My video really inspired me. It's really cool.
Awesome.
Well, I know that Loretta's inspired a lot of us, and then all of you guys are inspirations in your own right too. And we're,
Hey, Kelly, you're an inspiration to me to have 2 jobs at your young life. I said, when I was your age, everybody went to a shelter workshop, and here you are working 2 jobs, sister.
Yep,
Go,
thank
girl.
you.
that's awesome, Kelly. Well,
Thanks.
glad you could join us. And I'm going to see our next question. We're going to go back to Matt.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Kelly. I'm glad you were here. All
Here's
right.
Matt.
So, Matt, are you still there? Yes. All right. Let me go
I
back
am.
to my. Awesome, Matt. I'm going to go back to my slideshow here, and I've got my Matt slide.
Hey, Loretta, I actually met you in Seattle at a Coke event.
Yes.
That's cool. Now, so yeah, Matt has been very involved in Special Olympics for a long period of time. There's a picture of him with basketball, with soccer, and then as he mentioned, he, you talked about the value of working. He worked with Coca-Cola at USA Games in 2018, so we were real proud of him for doing that. And then I noted that he has something else in common with you in addition to Special Olympics.
Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah, President Clinton. Wow.
You know that many people don't know is he has such a Southern drawl.
Well, he's from the South, I think.
That's true, but when nobody really knows when he talks, it doesn't come out so often.
Right.
Well, Matt, I was wondering, you had a question for Loretta, perhaps?
I did. So Loretta, as a person of intellectual disability, and as an African American during the 60s, late 60s, what difficulties did you have?
You know, when the 60s were here, a lot of people think because I'm African American or Black or what have you, that didn't bother me because I grew up in a household where my mom valued everybody, and she made sure that our rights were given to us. And even though when we went to school, people kind of treated you different, that never bothered me. I never realized that. My biggest problem was people accepting me the way I learned. And so my biggest trouble was not about the color of my skin, but being a girl and being in sports because I love sports. And the second thing was, the first thing and the major thing was my hurdles were given to me because I was slow and I didn't fit in the regular kids' arena with them. Because I was slow and I had problems with reading and learning, I got picked on. It basically wasn't about the color of my skin because it was actually Black kids, a lot of Black kids picked on me just as well.
Well, Matt, I'm glad you're able to join us. And yeah, that was a great question. I know, I was noting one of the things, you've accomplished so much, Loretta. I'm going to see if I could pull this up. It's kind of amazing. I'm going to see if I can share, and I think this was on your website, your resume and how much is involved in your resume. I couldn't quite imagine how long it was. I don't know. Can you see that?
I can see it. Yeah.
And you're probably familiar with it, but you have done so much. But I think the thing that stood out to me so much was the Ash Award, and that you were the first woman to win the award, the first a person of color to win the award, and then of course the first Special Olympian. And just how groundbreaking you were, and just to look at all these things that you've done. Once again, I mean, you are the perfect person to be inspirational for all of us, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that. I think we have a couple more questions for you. Natasha, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, so I'm going to see if I can share the screen of Natasha so Loretta can learn a little bit more about you. So we mentioned before, hopefully you can see the screen.
Yes.
Natasha, she's done the Peachtree Road Race as well. She's done it a couple times, as did Kelly. And then we also see a picture of her with basketball. She does soccer, bocce, like a lot of our superstars. She does multi-sports. And I know that Natasha has a question for you as well. So Natasha, let me see if I can find you, because I love to have you guys pinned up here to be side by side with our guests. So where are you? There you are. Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Coach Ray. Well, Loretta, my question is, how did you get to meet Barack Obama?
How did I get to meet him? I don't know how I got to meet him, but I did meet him at the White House. I didn't know the demographics of how I got to meet him, but I was one of the speakers there. So I had the opportunity to go to the White House and speak, and I met him and Michelle. And the funniest story was we were going through the line and Michelle stops me. And these lines are done by protocol. You go through, you do this, 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 and she stops me and she starts comparing her muscles. We're standing there comparing muscles. And we were both laughing.
All right, so whose was bigger? Come on, who had the bigger muscles?
She asked her husband, and her husband said that mine were bigger.
I believe it.
I agree.
Even though she's a taller person and a bigger woman in stature, my muscles were bigger.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like you have still the quite the workout routine, so that doesn't surprise us. Well,
hi, Chris.
Hey, Santino. Well, thank you for the question, Natasha. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No.
Okay, well, that was a great one. Yeah, I think
you.
That's one of the things we've shared, Loretta, is you obviously this opportunity and what you do to provide inspiration is given you lots of opportunities to meet some incredible people. I'm curious, like when you are asked to speak to a president, or when you have that opportunity, what are some of the things you like to share about Special Olympics?
I basically, when I'm speaking to the president, whether it's of the United States or Abu Dhabi or the Middle East or wherever I may be, that Special Olympics, it provides sport and training for all of our athletes, not only those with intellectual disabilities, but to get those presidents to open up their schools and have their regular ed students invite people with intellectual disability into their classrooms and into their playing fields. And that Special Olympics provides inclusion for everyone. Nobody wants to be excluded. And Special Olympics, to me, that's where Special Olympics has risen, where they decided that, if we live in this world, we can't live in a separate world. We all got to live here together, each and every one of us. If we live in a community, we all have to work together to put that community together. And that's the way. And there are some countries, when I go to speak to presidents, that people like us are still housed in institutions. And that bothers me, because also what they don't realize is that those same people that are housing an institution and paying millions of dollars are the same people who can go out with the right training and supports to help that community and actually pay taxes and have a job. It takes giving them a chance. It takes the whole thing with including them and listening to them and working with them to be a part of the community. Yes.
So true. Well, I'm glad that you've been given that voice and that you use it to represent, so many amazing people. This is a good follow-up. I'm going to go to our next scheduled questioner. And I'm not supposed to play favorites, Loretta, but this next question is coming from my daughter. And so
don't do anything dumb.
I'm not going to do anything silly, but so my daughter is Julia.
Do it, go, do it.
On the far left picture, she's been involved with Special Olympics since she was a baby, because she's my child and I've been involved for a long time. In the middle, she's with her unified partner for cycling, Stephen. And so they partnered and got gold a few years ago at fall games. And then her most recent involvement with Special Olympics is starting a unified champions school. And so let me see if I can get Julia, if she's still there. Oh,
I am
there she
here.
is. And so I know Julia had a question for you, Loretta.
Sure.
All right, so I am starting a Unified Champions Club at my school, and I was wondering to you, like, how important is it promoting inclusion and unified sports in our schools?
It's very important because, like you heard my story about going to school, school is supposed to be a memory that every child would have the rest of their life. If you ask an adult about a job and that adult becomes a senior citizen, the first thing they're going to say to you, I remember when I went to school and how bad people treated me. Or I remember when I went to school and I did this. I was on the honor society. So school is a very important role in a young person's life. It actually helps shape that person for that next level to become an adult. So if you're that child who's getting teased all the time, you're not going to feel comfortable being that adult to go out and work in the community or even think that you are wanted. So as you become that senior and you think, you know what, I wish things would have been better when I was a kid in school. And now when I look at the unified programs, there's less bullying, there's less, not even for the person with the ID. But regular ed students who are very bright or who have issues with not being open or being able to express themselves, when they come into, I heard a story about a young person who came into a unified program and this made a difference in his life. Because he was thinking about doing away with himself from this world. And then he met this young person who had many challenges and worked with them. So the unified programs are very, very, very important in our schools. And like my mom says, you teach a kid when they're tiny at home to not be discriminatory or not, be mean to another child just because another child is different. When that kid grows up, then that kid has a better feeling about somebody else. And that's what the school systems need to have. I think every school should have a unified program. We use sports as a catalyst, as the message to get the regular ed kids to come in. But even if you have a club, if you take a bunch of students and send them together, some with intellectual disability and some without, you'll find every one of them has something in common. They might like the same music. They might like the same clothes. They might like to do the same things. They want to go to the prom. They want to do all these things. And those are things I did not have the opportunity. I don't want to turn back around my life, but if I could, and one thing could happen, I wish they would have unified programs in school when I went to school. Maybe I would feel much better about school.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that message. This is the third unified program that I've been involved trying to begin at a school, and it is very impactful. And then having unified sports in our communities, we have that thriving locally, and we see the difference it makes for sure.
Yes. And I think here in Connecticut, all the schools are unified.
Wow.
All the schools.
We're far away from that in Georgia, but it's great to get that message from you, the perspective of those that can remember a time it wasn't that way and then have noted the difference it makes for sure.
And I think there should be still some traditional programming because a lot of the older athletes hadn't experienced the unified, and it's different for them. So it's the tough part for us as Special Olympics, as a movement that we are, is to balance that. And I think once we balance that, I could see in the school programs and in the college programs, but once you're out of school and college, for some of our athletes, there's nothing. I heard a parent a couple of weeks ago at a bocce tournament. I said, how's your daughter doing now that she's graduated? She said, you ever see a cliff, Loretta? I said, yes. She was so happy and so successful in school. And then when school ended, it was like she dropped off the cliff.
Yeah, that's we definitely noticed that a lot. And locally here, the schools can have really great programs, but then, those opportunities, we need to make sure they're there for adults too. So
exactly.
That's so true. Well, that was it for our scheduled questions. I'm not sure how much time you have. I think I see a couple hands up, and I know William is on here and would probably like to ask a question. Do you have time, Loretta, for another question or two?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So, William, do you have a question for Loretta?
It says
Yes,
Prince
I
William.
do. So,
Now, hold on. But I did not have anything prepared, but let me build up William a little bit, Loretta.
I like the way you filled me out.
He's the prince.
He is the prince.
Hey,
He
how do you?
is-
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
He is.
I see his name, Prince.
That's right. As inspirational as
Prince of
you
Aqua.
are
That's it.
globally, Loretta, William provides a lot of inspiration to us with his positive attitude on the court, around the track, on the bocce field. He does it all. So, William,
Wait, I don't
take it
play
away.
bocce.
Oh, you're out there sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, William,
Yeah,
bocce's fun.
all right.
Hey, Coach Chris, I got to get to class soon.
Oh, well, we'll let Liam go. He's.
I mean, it
Liam,
doesn't start until 8:30 anyway. But
Thank you, Liam.
Awesome.
it was really nice meeting you, Loretta.
Okay, Liam. Good luck with class.
Good luck at class. Yeah.
Yes.
Good luck, man.
What
Bye,
grade are you
guys.
in?
We're proud of you, Liam. Go ace your class, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining us.
All
What
right,
grade is he in?
no problem.
Bye. All right.
We have your support.
So, William, what did you want to ask Loretta?
I mean, what did the other student tease you with? I mean, what was the name that they use on you?
You
Mine
know,
was Big Head.
it's not pleasant, and you can probably read between the lines if you had gotten teased, and you would probably know some of those names. So I don't want to repeat them, but it wasn't a happy atmosphere.
So you just ignore them? All that mean was that you just ignore it?
I didn't do well with ignoring, and I don't advocate for people to fight because you don't settle any, after many, many years, it doesn't settle any problems. I'd rather have people who I could go to as a teacher or somebody to say, hey, look, this kid is picking on me. Can you do something about it? And at that time they didn't. But today we don't settle things with fighting and using our hands. We settle things and try to sit down and talk them and find somebody who can help.
Compromise, talking.
Exactly.
Ah, sweet.
You know the word.
Uh-huh.
Right. And that's a great message. And William, I can't imagine you ever, choosing. You're always smiling and happy, but sometimes people push you, and I think it can be challenging to hold on to that anger.
True that. And ain't that the truth?
I always tell people, I can handle a lot, but don't put your hands on me. That's when you're crossing the line.
That's right. Don't cross that line. Well, thank you, William. I'm going to go ahead. There's one other thing I wanted to show, and there might be another question related to this. Just recently, Loretta, we had a skating program start locally, and I think perhaps a couple of our skaters are on here, but I wanted to, before they might ask a question, I have a picture of you skating here. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
So I want you to tell us, because I got the impression maybe you weren't early on, you were like into running and maybe some other sports. What made you decide to put on skates and do skating?
What made me decide to put on skates? My mom would always tell me that she never had the opportunities to, because of the color of her skin, to do things like that. And she would say to me, try to do as much as you can. She said, because honey, I didn't have those opportunities. So if you see an opportunity, you grab it. And I always tell people, if you have an opportunity to do something that's different, that people think that you don't do, go for it. Try it.
I love that message.
And a lot of people look at me as just a runner or a martial artist, but they don't know that I play tennis. They don't know that I play many sports. Ski, might won't be the best skier. Swimming, I tried swimming. It wasn't my forte, but I learned how to swim. I could save myself. So I like to try new things that my mother didn't have the opportunity to do.
And I loved hearing, I mean, you told Reese that there's a lot more than school and studies. I mean, there's sports, but you also have dedicated your time for volunteerism. So there's lots of avenues for people to make a difference, isn't there?
Always give back in your own way. It could be just giving somebody, you know, a pep talk or sitting and listening to somebody.
Definitely. Well, let's see. Now, I apologize because I know I invited, I told Coach Christina from the skating program to let her skaters know to join us, but I don't know everyone's name. And I see someone that says Zoom user. Yeah, that's you. Do you want to unmute and introduce yourself and ask a question of Loretta?
Hi. So my
Hi.
name's Mel, but they call me Hassie. I did all of those sports too. Like I started a little late though, because when we were in school, no one let us know about the programs. But then I went Strive, and that's where I found out about the Special Olympics. In 2019. And then that's when I started doing bocce, bowling, volleyball. And then I started tennis. That was like my thing I liked for the moment. But recently, I tried ice
For the
skating.
moment.
I found ice skating because I was trying to find which one was going to be my thing. And then I found out that ice skating is the career I want to have. So that's the one I'm going to focus on. And so far,
I see.
it has gone so well. It's the one I love because you can dance and you can skate. But Christina told us that we're the first ice skaters in Georgia start in special.
You know, when I went to the games and I think it was 2005, when I went to Japan, there was an ice skater. She was an African-American girl and she skated. She represented Georgia.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That is so cool.
So what was the coolest thing you liked about ice skating?
Just being on the ice, I love it.
Just being yourself.
Just to feel that feel of being on a blade that's holding, you know, this body up, and I'm pushing and doing all these 3 turns and waltz jump and just having a blast. I think it's just to skate. It just feels so good.
It's a good ability so you can learn more balance, because I was terrible at balance, but then they teach you how. So
yes,
yeah, it's been good because I also was picked on in school. We didn't have good stuff in school. I graduated, but I didn't get like a regular diploma, you know. So after that, the only thing they had was Strive, where they take you to places to train to get a job. After that, I graduated early from Strive.
Mm-hmm.
So
did they get you a job?
Yeah, because I got a job early, so I graduated early.
Good.
I work at a middle school as a lunch lady. It's a
I love to hear when our athletes and my fellow friends are working. I remember one time I was in the soccer tournament. Coach told me I couldn't go because I had to work. And a couple years later, we had a practice, and the soccer coach saying, "Where's everybody at?" I said, "Well, Colt's working." And I was just starting the names. All the athletes had to work, and there was only 3 people. And I looked at the coach and I said, "I remember the time you told me I couldn't go to the competition because I worked." I said, "That's a good thing."
That's right. Well, thank you very much for your question. I love seeing all those skating medals too. That's so awesome that the Miracle skaters are doing so well and having fun. So that was great that you could join us.
Thank
All right.
you.
We're getting close to 8, and so I was going to take one more question. So I think Jimmy, Loretta, if you got time for one more question, let's see. I'm going to. All right, Jimmy, what kind of questions do you have for Loretta tonight?
First,
wait a sec. I need to build you up. Now, I couldn't build up our skating friend, but she had her bling. Jimmy is, let's see, soccer star. He's flag football. We just started that. Running, basketball, bocce. I think Jimmy is he does it all. And so I don't think he's quite caught up to, and maybe no one can catch up to Loretta, but you got time, Jimmy. Go for it.
well, for one, it's a great honor to have a legendary athlete of foreign and country of Special Olympics and Chief Inspirational Officer to join us. So there were many, but I have to figure. Oh, yes. So when you decide on your story, which is inspirational, when you say you want to try, even if you couldn't, did you ever have the dream if you want to become like a nurse and a veterinarian, but what you have is complicated? Are there ways you can try to achieve those dreams?
Well, not now at my age. I'm not interested. There probably are ways, but at your age, there's possibility that you can achieve all those dreams. I just heard a story last week. I was talking to a friend of mine who actually went down south because her husband's son, who has autism, is going to be a doctor. And so he had this big graduation. And so parents went up, and my friend and her husband went down to stay with the lady's husband because he had surgery. But the lady went up to see her son go off, graduate, and I forgot what hospital he's going to for his internship, but he's going to be a doctor.
And what kind of doctor did he say he was going to try?
Medical doctor.
Well, we get a medical doctor, but in medicine,
what kind of field is he on?
I have no idea, but I know it's something in medicine with medical doctor. He's extremely, extremely bright, though he has autism.
Well, in that honor, good luck for him. In one way,
if you have a dream and you want to pursue it, you can. Just try your best. And if you don't pursue that dream, always have a backup.
That's right. And I should add, and I
always love that motivation.
And
we're about to wrap up, Jimmy.
This will have to be a quick one. Let's just say I appreciate that story and congratulations on the man. I'm working on my way in medical operations one day to become medical operator, which means I can operate on all cases, including the team.
Well, that's good to have a goal. I know that's something we all appreciate. And I should add, because I know that we all value this, we talk a lot about sports with Special Olympics, but Jimmy's another person that's working, and he works in a hospital, Loretta, so we're real proud of him.
Awesome.
And as a future athlete operator too. Well, actually, correction, athlete master. Correction. Well, that's the other thing I'm working on too. So that's all I got for you.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. We get pretty close to 8 o'clock here. I think we're getting close to my bedtime because it's a school night. I've got school tomorrow.
We can do for are you coach the team?
You know how old Coach Chris is, but what I'd like everyone to do, I'm going to take a picture.
You're not old.
I want to take a picture of everyone with Loretta.
When did you become old?
If we could unmute.
Loretta.
Let's just unmute and say thank you to Loretta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A legend to us all.
What I'd like to do before you go, everyone, give me a big smile because I'm going to take a picture.
Can you be our next president?
Smile.
Yeah, I wouldn't want the job.
Vote for you for next president.
Yeah, me too. I'll do it too.
You had to go through a lot of process and then
Tomorrow's April Fool's
Got our
Day.
vote.
the public and
Well, what I'd like to do,
Excuse me.
guys, what I'd like to do is, Loretta, I want to thank you for all of us, from all of us. And then hopefully we can do this again. It really was an inspiration. And
You have a
I
great
know-
group here.
Yeah, we would love to have you. And then if you're ever in Atlanta, other than like going quickly through the airport,
That's what I'm going to be doing. In again, out again, Finnegan.
yeah, stop sometime and come. We'll do a lap around the track or something. But yeah, I mean, whether it's in person or virtual, you're truly an inspiration, and we thank
Hey,
you so
Coach.
much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Coach.
Have a great evening, and the rest of you guys, if you want to stick around, and Loretta, you can too. But we're going to talk about a few things.
I'm going to
and
finish
then-
my dinner.
Go enjoy your dinner. Thank you so much,
Go
Loretta.
ahead,
Our
Loretta.
soccer
Thank
gear.
you, Loretta. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you for
That
your
was
story
awesome.
and
Thank
your
you.
sacrifice of courage.
What's
That's nice.
Yeah.
Have a great
Hey,
night.
William.
Bye.
Now let's see who
Hey,
else we
Reese.
have here
Hello,
before
the
we go.
FaceTiming wizard boy.
Well, so
That's
guys,
my nickname for
Coach.
Reese.
that was super
Everyone,
cool.
Hop
Everyone,
on Messenger,
quiet.
William.
What I'd like to
Quiet,
do
everyone.
before we
Okay.
go
Coach,
is,
you want to say something?
let me say something really quickly, Jimmy. I would love to get suggestions for a theme for, we're gonna have a big party and the skaters are invited too. May 22nd, we need some suggestions for a party theme before we go. Does anyone have, it could be a
Coach
Hawaiian
Chris.
theme. It could be like everyone
Hey,
wears
Coach Chris.
neon. Any suggestions along those lines?
Coach Chris.
All right.
Maybe
I got one.
everybody showing like just like it should be like being yourself type of party. Like show something that shows who you are.
All right, so something that's kind of an individual type look.
Wow.
That's one route.
An
I'm gonna write
expression
these down.
party.
I'm gonna write them down because
Express
we'll have a
yourself.
vote. All right, so
Coach Chris.
all right, let me see. Reese, what's your suggestion on a party theme?
My birthday's coming up. And
So you know what? So you're talking about like a Reese birthday party theme or just
yeah.
you know what? I think we're gonna have to do something a little more less individual. I mean, one of the suggestions was to be your individual, but we're not gonna make it a Reese party. But
Oh, we can call it the FaceTiming wizard party.
It'll feel like a Reese party, maybe.
Hey, Coach.
All right.
Well,
yes. What other
let's hear
suggestions
from
for
the
a party?
others. Does
My,
anyone else
ooh,
have a
a
question
magic
to say?
show.
how about
We
we
can do a
have my
magic
husband,
one.
William?
I got a show.
All right. So we're gonna have a magic show, and we're gonna make William disappear.
There you go.
Nice suggestion.
The wall on this beer.
I'm kidding.
Coach
That's
Chris.
right.
I have
Oh,
something
hold
in
on.
mind.
All right. Hold on. Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Let's see. There's a lot of voices. Let me. I haven't done this yet, but I'm gonna mute everyone. Oh, I like that power. And then let me call on people. Matt, did you have an idea for a party theme? You have to unmute. I think I muted you.
I didn't, but I'm just saying this to you. Hint. Remember what I talked to you about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I will remember that. All right. Let me get to someone else. Thank you, Matt, with a party theme suggestion. Let's see. Jimmy, did you have a suggestion for a party theme?
Well, since I did remember something about time ago, and for 7